From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
The year was 2006. By then, I was deep into my second term, facing the hard truths of leadership in wartime and the weight of decisions that couldn't be undone. The attacks of September 11th were no longer fresh wounds. They were part of a long, grinding fight that demanded vigilance, strategy, and sacrifice. The war on terror was evolving, and so were the expectations of the American people. I governed with one eye on the battlefield and the other on the home front. In Iraq, we faced growing sectarian violence. The insurgency wasn't just a military problem, it was political, tribal, and deeply rooted. I had to make tough calls, reassess our tactics, listen to commanders, and lay the groundwork for what would later become the surge. History will judge that effort, but in 2006 I had to govern without the benefit of hindsight. At home, Americans were feeling uneasy. Gas prices were high, partisanship was rising, and trust in institutions was low. Still, I believed in the power of American resilience. I focused on strengthening the economy, improving education, and protecting the homeland. We worked to improve border security and immigration enforcement. We advanced healthcare IT, continued supporting faith-based initiatives, and prioritized energy independence. I still believed, fiercely, in the capacity of communities, families, and faith to solve problems that government alone couldn't fix. 2006 was also an election year, and it was a tough one. The American people spoke loudly, frustrated by the pace of the war and the tone in Washington. The balance of power shifted in Congress. I heard the message, but I didn't retreat. I adjusted. Through all of this, I continued to use the tools of the presidency, including executive orders, to direct the actions of our federal agencies, respond to emergencies, and move key policies forward when legislative paths stalled. We'll get into those orders shortly, the ones that defined not just the politics of 2006, but the principles I believed in as president. Stay tuned. We're about to walk through the executive actions that shaped that pivotal year. Executive Order 13,395. Designating the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria as a public international organization, entitled to enjoy certain privileges, exemptions, and immunities. On January 13, 2006, Executive Order 13,396 blocking property of certain persons, contributing to the conflict in Côte d'Ivoire on February 7, 2006 Executive Order 13,397 responsibilities of the Department of Homeland Security. With respect to faith-based and community initiatives on March 7, 2006 Executive Order 13,398 National Mathematics Advisory Panel on April 18, 2006 Executive Order 13,399 blocking property of additional persons in connection with the national emergency with respect to Syria on April 25, 2006 Executive Order 13,400 blocking property of persons in connection with the conflict in Sudan's Darfur region on April 26, 2006 Executive Order 13,401 Responsibilities of federal departments and agencies. With respect to volunteer community service on April 27, 2006 Executive Order. 13,402 Strengthening federal efforts to protect against identity theft. On May 10, 2006 Executive Order. 13,403 Amendments to Executive Orders. 11,030, 13279, 13339, 13381, and 13389, and revocation of Executive Order. 13,011 on May 12, 2006 Executive Order. 13,404 Task Force on New Americans on June 7, 2006. Executive Order. 13,405 Blocking property of certain persons. Undermining democratic processes or institutions in Belarus on June 16, 2006. Executive Order. 13,406 Protecting the property rights of the American people on June 23, 2006 Executive Order. 13,407 Public Alert and Warning System on June 26, 2006 Executive Order. 13,408 Amending Executive Order. 13,381 as amended to extend its duration by 1 year. On June 29, 2006 Executive Order. 13,409 Establishing an Emergency Board to investigate a dispute between Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority and its locomotive engineers, represented by the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen on July 3, 2006 Executive Order. 13,410 Promoting Quality and Efficient Health Care in Federal Government. Administered or sponsored healthcare programs on August 22, 2006 Executive Order. 13,411 Improving Assistance for Disaster Victims on August 29, 2006 Executive Order. 13,412 Blocking property of and prohibiting transactions with the Government of Sudan on October 13, 2006 Executive Order. 13,413 Blocking property of certain persons contributing to the conflict in the Democratic Republic of the Congo on October 27, 2006 Executive Order. 13,414 Amendment to Executive Order. 13,402 Strengthening federal efforts to protect against identity theft. On November 3, 2006 Executive Order. 13,415 Assignment of certain pay-related functions on December 1, 2006 Executive Order. 13,416 Strengthening surface transportation security on December 5, 2006. Executive Order. 13,417 Establishing an emergency board to investigate disputes between Metro-North Railroad and certain of its employees, represented by certain labor organizations on December 6, 2006. Executive Order. 13,418 Amendment to Executive Order. 13,317 Volunteers for Prosperity on December 14, 2006. Executive Order. 13,419 National Aeronautics Research and Development on December 20th, 2006 Executive Order. 13420 Adjustments of certain rates of pay on December 21st, 2006 Executive Order. 13421 Providing for the closing of government departments and agencies on January 2nd, 2007 on December 28th, 2006.
A year
Pauline's
right in the
Pizza,
heart.
where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search Da Bomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
A year right in the heart of America's early 21st century reckoning. I want you to remember where we were that year. Iraq was boiling over. Sectarian violence surged after the bombing of the Al-Askari Mosque. Afghanistan remained volatile. And at home, Katrina's scars were still fresh. The American people were tired of war, tired of spin, and tired of feeling like their government had forgotten them. President George W. Bush, then in his 6th year, faced intense pressure both globally and domestically. His executive actions in 2006 reflected a presidency that was reactive, driven by the need to manage crises, natural, man-made, and institutional. Let's talk about what some of those executive orders meant in real time, and how some of their effects are still echoing in our nation today. One order strengthened federal efforts against identity theft, at a time when digital security was still a new frontier that showed foresight. Another EO focused on surface transportation security, a response to growing fears of terrorism on trains, subways, and public routes. There was an order to protect property rights, a direct reaction to the Supreme Court's controversial Kelo decision just the year before. It reminded folks that the power of government had to be balanced with the rights of the individual. In the global arena, we saw sanctions against regimes and actors that contributed to instability in Sudan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Belarus. These weren't just symbolic. They were part of a broader use of executive power to shape foreign policy without waiting on Congress. You can draw a line from those moves to modern sanctions policy today, used against authoritarian regimes from Moscow to Tehran. But these orders didn't exist in a vacuum. 2006 was also the year Democrats took back the House and the Senate. That midterm marked a pivot, a rejection of Bush's war strategy, and a call for change. The American people were beginning to signal they wanted a different approach. There were also failures in governance that year. Efforts to modernize healthcare reporting and federal programs fell short of impacting real people in meaningful ways. Disaster recovery, despite executive pledges, still left too many families behind, especially in communities of color. And internationally, North Korea conducted its first nuclear test that October, a grave moment for global security. One where all the executive authority in the world couldn't undo what years of failed diplomacy had allowed to happen. The Bush administration's governing style by 2006 was heavy on unilateral moves. That's not a critique. It was a reality of gridlock and war. But it also underscored a trend we still wrestle with today: how much power one person, one pen can have. Now, we're about to look at the top 10 executive orders of 2006, one by one. Each order tells a story. Some tried to heal, some tried to punish, some sought to secure the homeland. Others tried to reach beyond our borders to shape a more just world. Let's dive into them. The top 10 executive orders of 2006. Next. 2006 was a crossroads, a nation at war, a world turning, and a presidency stretching to manage the weight of both. This was the year when Iraq descended further into chaos. The sectarian bloodbath after the Al-Askari Mosque bombing marked a deadly shift. Over 16,000 Iraqi civilians were killed in 2006 alone. American troops were caught in the middle of an increasingly intractable civil conflict. And back home, the American people were demanding answers, wondering what it had all been for. At the same time, North Korea conducted its first nuclear test in October. That changed the global security calculus. Diplomacy entered a new era, one where rogue states no longer just threatened, but demonstrated capability. Then you had the Israel-Hezbollah war, a 34-day conflict that displaced hundreds of thousands and drew international outrage. The Middle East was heating up, not cooling down. Here at home, Hurricane Katrina's failures still echoed, particularly in how we cared, or failed to care, for vulnerable communities during disaster recovery. President Bush's administration responded with Executive Order 13,411, meant to improve disaster victim assistance. But for many, it was too little, too late. Families were still living in trailers. Entire neighborhoods hadn't recovered. There were some domestic shifts too, like Executive Order 13410, an attempt to streamline federal health care programs to promote quality and efficiency. It laid the groundwork for value-based care initiatives. The truth? Some of that work set the stage for changes we pushed in later years under the Affordable Care Act. We also saw bold strokes internationally, like EOs targeting regimes in Sudan, Belarus, Syria, and the Congo, freezing assets, blocking transactions, and sending signals. It's worth noting, those tools, those very executive authorities, are still used today in modern sanctions against authoritarian regimes from Putin to Maduro. Bush also created frameworks to combat identity theft, organize volunteer service, and safeguard surface transportation security. Some of these may sound dry, but they quietly laid the foundation for things we now take for granted, like federal cybercrime units and homeland security protocols at train stations and ports. But let's be clear, the sheer number of executive orders in 2006 also reflects something deeper, a government relying more and more on executive action to move the needle. Whether it was because of partisan gridlock or deliberate strategy, this expansion of unilateral governance is part of what shaped the modern presidency, including the one I now hold. So when we talk about 2006, we're not just reviewing old files. We're examining a blueprint, a set of actions that tried to address terrorism, disaster response, economic threats, and civil rights, all with mixed results. Some of those executive orders faded, others live on. And now, we take a deeper look. Coming up next, the top 10 executive orders of 2006. Which ones truly made a mark? Which ones are still guiding our path today? Let's begin. Top 10 executive orders of 2006, evaluated in great detail by President George W. Bush, evaluated by President Joe Biden. Number 1, EO 13406, Protecting the Property Rights of the American People. Signed, June 23, 2006, impact, issued in the wake of the controversial Kilo v. City of New London Supreme Court ruling, 2005. This order aimed to limit the federal government's use of eminent domain, prohibiting it from seizing private property for economic development alone. Lasting effect, still invoked in legal discussions today. While it didn't stop local governments from similar actions, it symbolized a shift toward defending individual property rights. It's often cited in urban planning, housing rights, and economic justice cases. Number 2, EO 13413, blocking property of certain persons contributing to the conflict in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, signed October 27, 2006, impact, froze assets of individuals undermining peace efforts in the DRC, targeting warlords, militias, and foreign funders. Lasting effect, set a precedent for regional sanctions. It empowered modern tools for combating war profiteering and resource conflict exploitation, especially with cobalt and coltan mining in the 2020s tech boom. Number 3, EO 13411, improving assistance for disaster victims. Signed August 29, 2006, impact. An attempt to centralize and streamline federal disaster response in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, directed agencies to unify systems for tracking and aiding displaced individuals. Lasting effect, while FEMA still struggled afterward, this EO helped launch database reforms that later fed into real-time disaster response tools and improved transparency. It was a step toward the smarter emergency management we see today. Number 4, EO 13410, promoting quality and efficient healthcare in federal government administered or sponsored healthcare programs. Signed August 22, 2006. Impact, focused on standardizing healthcare data, promoting cost transparency, and incentivizing performance-based payment in Medicare and Medicaid. Lasting effect, this order influenced later reforms under the Affordable Care Act. It's one of the earliest formal pushes for value-based care, a model now central to Medicare reimbursement. Number 5, EO 13402, strengthening federal efforts to protect against identity theft. Signed May 10, 2006, Impact created the Identity Theft Task Force. It required agencies to develop policies to detect and prevent personal data breaches. Lasting effect. As cyber threats exploded, this executive order served as a cornerstone for federal digital security policy. Many of today's cyber rules in government trace back to it. Number 6, EO13420, Adjustments of Certain Rates of Pay. Signed December 21, 2006. Impact, Annual Adjustment of Pay Scales for Federal Employees and Military Personnel. It reflected cost of living concerns amid inflationary pressures. Lasting effect. Though procedural, it marked the ongoing debate over federal pay competitiveness. These updates are key to military morale and retention even today. Number 7, EO13399, blocking property of additional persons in connection with the national emergency with respect to Syria, signed April 25, 2006, Impact. An extension of Executive Order 13,338, this order sanctioned individuals supporting the Syrian regime, especially those facilitating terrorist activities. Lasting effect, forms the backbone of current sanctions still in place against Assad, used by both Democratic and Republican administrations as leverage in Syria's civil war. Number 8, EO13416, strengthening surface transportation security. Signed December 5, 2006. Impact, required agencies to evaluate and enhance security for mass transit, freight rail, and highways. Came amid growing fears of post-9/11 style attacks on domestic infrastructure. Lasting effect, directly contributed to the formation of TSA protocols for rail systems. Continues to influence DHS and DOT threat response strategy. Number 9, EO13400, blocking property of persons in connection with the conflict in Sudan's Darfur region, signed April 26, 2006. Impact targeted financiers and commanders behind ethnic cleansing in Darfur, froze assets, blocked travel, and pressured international cooperation. Lasting effect, a model EO for future humanitarian interventions using economic sanctions. It laid the groundwork for Executive Order 13,804, 2017, which updated U.S. policy towards Sudan post-conflict. Number 10, EO13401. Responsibilities of federal departments and agencies with respect to volunteer community service. Signed April 27, 2006. Impact pushed agencies to promote and support volunteerism among employees. Aligned with Bush's compassionate conservatism and the USA Freedom Corps. Lasting effect, inspired internal agency volunteer programs that still operate, especially in the Department of Education and HHS. It emphasized the civic role of federal employees. Summary, President Bush's 2006 executive orders reveal a dual strategy: hardline foreign policy through sanctions and domestic modernization through digital security, disaster response, and health reform. These actions shaped multiple arenas that affect us even now: how we respond to global crises, how we secure our data, and how we deliver health care and disaster aid.
Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering. From the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Order can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.